Hi, I'm Gayatri. So we'll be dealing with history as your first module of KAS mains classes. Have you all got your handouts? Handouts ಅಲ್ಲಿ syllabus ಇದೆಯಾ? ನೋಡ್ಬೇಕು. Syllabus is your guideline. Okay, without syllabus you will not be able to do anything. Okay, first rule number 1. Final list ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೆಸರು ಬರಬೇಕಾ syllabus ನ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಂಡಿರಬೇಕು. Okay, so your syllabus should be intact. GS1 ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು ಏನಿದೆ ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್, GS2 ಏನಿದೆ, GS3 ಏನಿದೆ, GS4 ಏನಿದೆ, essay and language papers. Okay, so we have 7 papers in mains. ಅಲ್ವಾ? Sir ಹೇಳಿದ್ರಾ? Did sir talk about 7 papers? Yes, no? The other day. These are the 5 papers that is going to get you a rank. Okay, so each one of the paper is classified into 3 sections. ಪ್ರತಿ ಪೇಪರ್ ನ 3 ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿ ಭಾಗ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅದ್ ಒಂದೊಂದು ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದೊಂದು ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಬರ್ತಾ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಟುಡೇ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಡೀಲ್ ವಿತ್ ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್ 1 ಆಫ್ ಪೇಪರ್ 1 ಆಯ್ತಾ, GS1, ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಹಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಹಿಯರ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ ಕಲ್ಚರಲ್ ಪಾರ್ಟ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ ಹಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಅಲಾಂಗ್ ವಿತ್ ಕಲ್ಚರ್. Main focus is culture. Okay, we have 6 units ಇದೆ ಈ ಸೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ. Generally each one of the section is classified into units. Okay, units ಆಗಿ ಭಾಗ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. So generally you will have 6 to 7 units in each one of the section. Okay, so in this section 1 where we're talking about Indian history with the Karnataka history. Okay, 4 chapters Karnataka history irutte exclusive. First 2 chapters are mainly on Indian history part. Okay na, so anybody from history background? Anybody? BA na? Okay, so others no idea about what happened, who came, ಏನು ಐಡಿಯಾನೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. Okay, so for that only we have this history orientation session. ಆಯ್ತಾ? So mainly ಇವಾಗ when it comes to mains, okay, when it comes to mains, syllabus is something that you will always focus on. Okay na, so syllabus ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದಾರೋ ಅಷ್ಟನ್ನು ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಓದ್ಕೊಂಡಿರ್ಬೇಕು. Okay, so only those people who have clearly done all the syllabus have made it to the final list. So that way, when it comes to mains preparation, namdu e orientation iradilla. Andre you don't go according to the timeline. Who came first, who came next, historical aspects inda now nodak agadilla because the syllabus is not arranged or aligned in that order. Got it? But we will try to make it as, chronological as possible. But generally, we do not have a clear order as to how it has to go ahead anta. Okay, so for that reason I want you all to understand how we are going to begin anta. Okay, we don't ivattu class na tumba serious agi like barkobeku, you have to copy, you have to make notes atradella ಏನು ಇಲ್ಲ, just try to understand how it worked anta. Okay, how we started from 20 lakh BC to at least till 1947 ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನ ಇವತ್ತು we are going to take a broad overview. Okay na, so to begin with, history is classified into 3 parts. Any idea?
Ancient, medieval, modern.
Perfect. Okay na, so history na ನಾವು ancient India, medieval India and modern India anta classify ಮಾಡಿದೀವಿ. Okay, so this again, all this classification is for our purpose. ನಮ್ಮ understanding ಗೋಸ್ಕರ we have developed this structure. Okay na, so anything below 1000 BC na ನಾವು ancient anta kariti, 1000 AD na ನಾವು ancient anta kariti. Okay, so from 1200 or 1100 AD to somewhere around 1500 vargu we call it as medieval anta. Europeans penetration anda we call it as modern Indian history. Okay, so this is the broad idea of it. Okay, so now look at this. So history is generally what? The study of past. ಗೊತ್ತಿರೋ ವಿಷಯನೇ. Okay, whatever the events that has happened already, we are going to take a look at it. So what is the purpose of studying history? What is the use? History na ಓದೋದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಏನ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಇದೆ? What's the idea of having history as a subject in your competitive examination?
To learn from the past and not repeat the same mistake.
Okay, to learn from the past. All right, ಮತ್ತೆ others?
To know the cultural aspects of how the society.
Very significant thing is cultural aspects. Okay, now we are very much cosmopolitan. Okay, we are very fastly moving towards development, science and technology, everything. So that should not let us forget our roots. Okay, history only we get to know what our roots are. Okay, so to preserve the culture. Okay, do you believe this, that history ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸುಮಾರು ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ವಿಚಾರಗಳಿದೆ? ಆರ್ಕಿಟೆಕ್ಚರಲ್ಲೇ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಓಕೆ, could be the way they did agriculture, okay, mixed farming ಇರ್ಬೋದು, okay, in medicine, okay, there is a lot of science in it, okay, which can be innovatively incorporated into our present lives also, okay. So the idea of studying history is firstly to know our heritage, cultural heritage, okay. What kind of, see now if you take internationally, as a citizen of this country, if you have to represent India somewhere, anta tagolona, once you become an officer, okay. So when you're representing India, you don't even know the cultural heritage, won't it be a shame on our part? It is for the very same reason that we are going back to our cultural heritage, what we had, okay. If somebody says Einstein, we had Aryabhatta, okay. If somebody says, if there was Euclid, we can say we had Brahmagupta. Okay, so it does not undermine atara one raw competition alla, but it is a place of rich heritage in all aspects, okay na. Adanna navu refurbish madkoladakkene we study history, correct. So and one more thing is, history is difficult, history is full of facts. Yarge hage ಒಂದು opinion ide, I don't like history, put your hands up. It's absolutely fine. I don't like history. Anybody? It's okay, I'm not going to hold you responsible for it. Okay, dates. Matte? Anybody who feels that I don't like history? Nang history andre ishtane illa, nang odak agadilla. Yaradru idira hage? No? All right. So let me, correct your misconception, because now say, if you have to give a timeline for your lifetime, from the time of your birth to till today, won't you be able to give it in an order? Like say, if you take me, okay, some year birth, okay, so 1992 to 93 birth year, and then from there onwards, in 4 years I went to school, in 10 years I finished schooling, and then PUC, and then graduation, and then UPSC, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸುಮಾರು ವರ್ಷ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಇಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. Now finally if I get a position, then job, right? So won't I be able to connect the dots? Now if you apply some logic, ನಾನು 10ನೇ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಗ್ರಾಜುಯೇಷನ್ ಹೋಗಕ್ ಸಾಧ್ಯನಾ? No? Yes. So after 10th standard, we have to go to intermediate education. That is your pre-university education in Karnataka, and then only go to my graduation. Right or not? So that is logic. So history go ade tarane. You don't have to struggle with dates at all. All that you have to do is chain na napka itkobeku. Okay, you have chains, you have connecting dots. If you know what led to what, it's just a cause and effect relationship. Prati one event, it's a cause and effect relationship ashte. Okay, one event would have led to the development of another event. Another event would have led to a development of another event. Ashte, as simple as that. So when you operate in that manner, when you logically approach content alva, it becomes easy for you to remember. Okay, ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ history andre it is not just facts, you have to apply your science in logic, apply ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಇಲ್ಲಿ. Okay, only then history becomes little lively. Otherwise it is going to be as boring and as dry as it could get. Got it? Yes. So firstly, history is full of facts and only numbers and years, andre it is a misconception. It is not. Okay, do you understand that? You have to understand the links to remember events. Okay, so basically history alli all this we deal with. Generally idella navu ell nodtivi, mostly in your science oriented subjects alli nodtivi, but history is also full of scientific arrangement of facts. Okay, so discovery irutte, collection irutte, organization of data irutte, presentation irutte, and finally your analysis part. We are more focused on interpretation of the information only. Got it? Yes. I request to speak in English only. Okay. I like history, not numbers to remember. Okay. So I hope you guys must have understood. If you know the history, it will be easy to predict future. All right, all right. Good, good. Online guys are responding well. Fine. So yeah, history and the study of past, and it comprises of all these things. Okay. So now in history, in itself, we have classifications. Prehistory, proto-history, and history and the curriculum. We are going to deal only with this components. Okay. But even before we get there, I want you to understand how we reached here. Okay. So anything which does not have any written records, we have only heard of. Okay, we do not have any archaeological evidences. Maybe slowly we might get, but we don't have any classic literature on it. Okay, we do not have any classic physical evidences for it that this existed at that point is known as your prehistory time. Writing, before the invention of writing, whatever existed is called as prehistory. Okay, and what is history then? Which is the written evidences supported by your archaeological. Archaeology andre ಏನು? The remains, the material remains, whatever is beneath the surface of the earth, adana dig ಮಾಡಿ, we just take it out and we study on the material facts. That is nothing but your archaeology, study of human past based on the material remains. Okay, that's nothing but your archaeology. So literary and archaeology evidences are available for historical components. Then what should be proto-history? Something in between both. Okay, it's a transition period between prehistory and history times. Got it? Yes. So now look at this. This is our prehistoric time. See, today it's going to be only with the pictures. Just feel light and take a look at it. Salpa imbibe madkoli. This is how it evolved anta. Okay. So now prehistoric period, mostly all these evolution part. This is mostly from your 20 lakh BC to somewhere around some 4000 5000 BC vargu we were in prehistoric period only. That means we have evidences only from 3000 BC. That is our IVC, Indus Valley Civilization, is what when we started from, right or not? So this is our prehistoric period. This is proto-history. That is between your prehistory and history. Okay, so here we have all the remains only, archaeological remains, and then we know that there existed something called as prehistory. Now this is your written records. So in between you have proto-history. This is the transition period. And this is our historical period. This is nothing but where we have clear excavations, okay, and clear written records, and we can also set up a chronology for it. Okay, that is when we call it as history. History is not just hearsay. Okay, what you have heard is not history. What is written and authentically observed by historians is alone called as history. Ivaga history alle sumar kelvand we have a lot of writers. Okay, if you take Ziauddin Barani in medieval India and all, we don't really take this chronicles very seriously because it is little bit of hyped information. So that means what? Historians accept only those information which are close to the truth or facts only. Correct? Yes. So history is not just mere information, it is also analysis of information. Now that we have understood, did you understand what's prehistory, proto-history and history? The phase of it? Yes, evolution part. Now let's take a look at few terminologies of history. Okay, so history, these terminologies become a little important for us. Okay, so what are archives? We have archives in our mailbox, we have archives in our phones. What are archives? Archives, what are archives? It's not a new term. Important ones the archive ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. So what is archive then? So it is nothing but, archives are nothing but those information that is protected and prevented. Okay, it's a storage of information. It's a place of storage of information. Okay, now archives could be your, it could be written records, okay, or some kind of inscriptions or some kind of coin, seals, anything it could be. Okay, so archives are generally written information which are stored. Okay, that's nothing but your archives. Okay, now, so history archives andre we are mostly talking about those records which are saved. So andre yav tara records, court andre if there is a king, his court poet would have written all that's happening. Okay, that's one thing. And another thing is maybe inscriptions. Another thing is inscriptions. You see the kings themselves erecting inscriptions in different places. Okay, so they are called as archives. Okay, then what's the difference between primary source and secondary source? What is primary? Original. Okay, primary source is nothing but the original source. That is, it is being documented for the first time. It is not copied from anywhere else. That is nothing but primary source. Okay, so now if a court poet is writing about what happened in that particular king's reign in first hand, okay, as a first hand document to be produced, then it is called as a primary source. Okay, if another poet from a different kingdom is listening to what this fellow said and then he is taking it down in his chronicles, then it's called as secondary source. So generally in secondary source what happens is we already have established sources. From there onwards we deduct information, we deduce information. Okay, that is nothing but your secondary source. Okay, you must understand the difference between primary and secondary source. Always take to primary source of information when you have to quote in your mains answer. Okay, now primary sources are considered to be more authentic than your secondary sources in most of the scenarios, not always. Okay, sometimes secondary sources have corrected the mistakes in the primary sources also. There are situations. Okay, so depending on that, you have to apply. Yes, then this is one common thing that our students don't understand. BC, AD, BCE, CE, Circa. What is this? So BC and AD. What is this?
Before Christ.
Okay, before Christ and Anno Domini. Andre?
Before the birth of Christ, what are the incidents that happened?
When did, which date is, I mean, when exactly is considered as the Christ birth? Which year? So 1 AD in the, we begin, that is, yeah, 1 AD. Okay, na? So from here onwards, we believe this to be your Christian era. Okay, so this refers to the birth of a Christ. Okay, na? So with that, we call this before Christ, and this is Anno Domini, that is nothing but after Christ, anta. Okay, na? So anything in BC, that is before this thing, that is 1 BC, 2 BC, whatever. BC, it is before the birth of the Christ, and this is after the birth of the Christ, that is AD. What is this?
Before common era and common.
Why this came in? Any idea?
Now there was controversies to use just as Christ because
This has some Christian reference in it. Okay, before Christ and Anno Domini, another some Christian reference rather than the people didn't wanted to take that way. So what they did, they developed something called as common era. Okay, so before common era, it is very much like your BC and AD only. Okay, BCE, BC, AD and CE are common. Artha aita? They all mean same. Just the terminologies change. Okay, e Christian reference is still there. They came up with something like common era. Okay. Definitely, yes. They all refer the same thing. That's what I meant. Okay. So now 400 BC is as good as 400 BCE. 500 AD is as good as 500 CE. Got it? Yes. So both mean the same thing. Just the terminologies vary. Got it? Yes. Then what is the Circa? Around. When they are not sure of the timeline. Okay, exact time gottilla anbekare, what they do? They come up with approximate. Okay, so circa 400 BC andre, around 400 BC time this event happened. Okay, now if you take birth of Jainism and Buddhism and all, we do not know exact year. Okay, so what do we do? Around 4th century BC. Okay, around 4th century BC, around 5th century BC, around 6th century BC, decline of Buddhism, whatever. Okay, so we have this circa for the purpose of giving the approximation. What an approximate value okay? We have this terminology called as circa. Got it? Then comes archaeology. We know what archaeology is. That is study of human past based on the material remains that has been excavated from the surface of the earth. Got it? That is nothing but our archaeology. What's the difference between a dynasty and an empire? Correct. But what exactly is dynasty and empire? You're right, there are features of it, but exact meaning and definition anta bandaga what it could be. Mysore dynasty. It's Wadayar dynasty is what I believe. So Shruta, Mughal empire. Yes, you're right. So what's the difference between dynasty and an empire? Only one king? Wadayar dynasty alli eshton kings bandra alva? So many kings came up.
Whereas in empire, there is one king at the top and the other provinces will have.
How do you justify your statement? Tell me now. Okay, now there is Wadayar dynasty. Okay, let's take Krishna Raja Wadayar, the third. Okay, now Now he is the king of Mysore state. Now below him, you mean to say there are no other kings at all? Okay, in Mughal Empire, we had Akbar the Great. So below him, we had somebody called as king, is it? Yeah. Perfect. That is it. Okay. Family lineage another kinta, like, they are mostly from the same kinship. Okay. So it's almost like that only. Okay. Kinship, they carry common kinship. Okay. So it's from the same family line, bloodline anta helbodu. Okay. That is nothing but a dynasty. Okay. So whatever dynasty, even today, who is the king? Somebody who is related to that family alone. Okay, so dynasty will have a common family line, whereas empire need not necessarily have a common family line, but generally it has always been. Okay, but that is the common difference. Okay, where we call dynasty is when they have common family line. And also, like you said, that is right, like the vastness of the kingdom. Okay, that again is very important here. So depending on the vastness also, it is classified into empire and dynasty. Okay, empire is always larger than the dynasty. Okay, so that's the difference between dynasty and empire. What is heresy? Heresy. What is heresy? Kelidira anywhere? Anybody? See, okay, this is like little related to world history. Okay, generally anybody who talks against the most accepted religious belief, no, it is called as a heresy. Okay, we have something called as sedition. Have you heard this term called as sedition? What is sedition? Huh? Huh. You raise your, power against or voice against the existing government. Adanna, see, generally this is British time evolve the sedition law. Okay, so what sedition means? It means to go against the existing governmental structure. Okay, so that is what was called as sedition. Okay, so likewise, here heresy is going against the Christian church. See, church was a very significant power-wielding authority in your world history. Okay, so when you take this world history into consideration, church was the most influential power. What church said is final. Some of the scientists have been declared as insane by the churches. You remember? School, we have read, lessons on them. Anybody? Example? Kepler. Yes. Galileo. Okay, they were declared as mad people because they were against the church's belief of heliocentric, your geocentric theory. Okay, now we are heliocentric, sun-centric solar system we have, right? But they believed in earth-centric system, which is not true. When, say, scientists came up with opposing views, it's called as heresy. Okay, heresy is nothing but having a religious opinion which is not commonly accepted generally. But here in history, what it means is to go against the declared religious belief of the state. Does India have anything like that? Do we have a declared religious belief here? Why? No. We are secular. Okay, we are not theocratic state. We are a secular state. That means we do not have any favor for the religion. Okay, all religions are treated equal here. So that way we cannot see this here. Fine. Then what is patriarchy and matriarchy? Son succeeding family structure is patriarchy. Okay, mom succeeding family structure is matriarchy. You don't have any northeastern state friends? This Meghalaya and all, they carry their mother's name as their surname. If you had seen my name in the presentation, I carry my father's name. It's very simple. Okay, we are patriarchal society. That means father's lineage we carry forward. Okay, in matriarchal family lines, the lineage, the next successor would be your female. Female progeny of the family. So generally, what is this succession all about? What do I succeed? What do I succeed? Property. It's very simple. Mostly for now, for the present society, if you have to talk about this succession, we are mostly talking about the inheritance of the property. Okay, patriarchally, sons succeed. Okay, now this is broken off in our legal system, right or not? Men and women both daughters and sons have equal rights over the inheritance now, right or not? But in historical setup, we will see this patriarchy and matriarchy. Okay, see, you will believe that matriarchy never existed in history, but it's not true. We have had republics, we have had matriarchal society. It's beautiful. When we take a look at it, you will understand. Okay, then who's a scribe? Someone who chronicles all the events that's happening in the kingdom. Okay, somebody like your minutes note, maintain ಮಾಡ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ, he is known as a scribe. Somebody who writes down everything that's happening in the court. Okay, so then what's tyranny? Autocratic rule. Okay, because of the autocratic rule, there is some huge exploitation. Okay, that's like, like Hitler. Okay, Hitler's tyrannical rule anta karitivi. Okay, it means that he's a despot. Despot means he's an autocrat, not entertaining the public's opinion into the administration. That's nothing but your tyranny. Okay, see, these are few terms that you can get hold of now. As we move ahead in the history, we'll study a lot more terms which you will be easily understanding a little later. Got it? Prehistory period anta ittalva. Now we are getting into the details of it. So in prehistory period, this is how we classify: Paleolithic period, Mesolithic period, Neolithic period, Chalcolithic, and Iron Age. So this is when transitionally from this is where you will start seeing your Indus Valley civilization, Vedic civilization, and no, Vedic is not here. Vedic starts coming from here. Vedic civilization, and post that you will start getting into actual kingdoms. Okay, na? So Magadhan dynasty, Mauryan empire, all those people will start coming in. Got it? So this is actually your beginning of history. Prehistory period, this is what is called as prehistory, because IVC, we have a lot of written records, but we don't know what they have written. Okay, they have written in a language which we do not understand still. We have not deciphered their language yet. Got it? Yes. So Vedic civilization, we do have records, but it's still put in the prehistory culture, and proto-history and historical periods alone we can carry your Vedic civilization. Got it? Yes. So this is the prehistoric timeline. Now we'll go to the actual part. So prehistory, and if you take about proto-history in the Indian context, we can take this IVC as your proto-history period. Before that is your prehistory. From IVC and Vedic civilization onwards, you can call it as a proto-history period, and then from there onwards, history. So history, Andre, where do we begin from? Ancient India. Okay, so we begin from ancient Indian history. See, to touch ancient Indian history itself, we have to know about these, which is not a part of your syllabus. I want you to understand the complete timeline of it. Artha agtidya? Like, I want you to understand from the beginning of it. Got it? Yes. So to touch history itself, we are going from there. Got it? 20 lakh, 2 million BC and 20 lakh BC. Right or not? So from there onwards to here. So we are going to the timeline of 3500 BC. 3000 to 2500 BC onwards we are talking about. Got it? So this is your ancient India. Okay, Indus Valley civilization, Vedic civilization, Jainism, Buddhism, Mahajanapadas, Magadhas, Mauryas, and your Sangam age. All these comes under your ancient Indian history. We'll quickly take a look at their representations. What do you know about this?
The first city was.
So first discovered city was Harappa. Okay, and this is their archaeological remains, Pashupati seal. Okay, Mate, these are dancing girl and their pottery. Okay, and their town planning. Very significant thing is their town planning. Okay, this is IVC. What is this? Vedic civilization. Okay, where we had 4 Vedas. Okay, Vedic civilization, classic or important thing is that evolution of Vedas. Okay, so this is early Vedic period, Rigvedic period. Na? All these are called as later Vedic period. Okay, so what happens with later Vedic period? Brahmanism becomes very severe. Okay, with Brahmanism becoming severe, what happens? Varnashrama develops. Okay, that is your Varna system. That is Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. This classification is developed in Vedic age. Got it? Then comes as a respite to the exploitation that was happening. Okay, what was the kind of exploitation? The Brahmin class started becoming more powerful. and they did not share any of the benefits to other sections of the society. So that became more exploitative. So what common people thought, we need a different religion. We don't want Hinduism because it is more exploitative, it is more biased towards the Brahmin community. So now we need an alternative religion. That is when Jainism and Buddhism comes into the picture. Okay, yes, what's the beauty of these two religions? They focus mostly on equality. Okay, social equality ಬಗ್ಗೆ focus ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. That is, women are allowed for, see, women with the concept of this impurity. Okay, because of her menstrual cycle, this impurity concept was very high in Brahmanism. Okay, women were not allowed to the religious spaces. Okay, pollution, concept of pollution was, affiliated with women. Okay, that was banned by Jainism and Buddhism. And second thing is, anybody can take to any occupation according to this religion. You will not be banned. And worship of God became a personal affair. It's not a social affair where you have to go to a lot of sacrifices, yajnas, and give offerings to the, purohits. Nothing of that sort. Your connection with God is unilinear. Okay? It is one-on-one. You don't need any intermediaries, is what these religions told. Got it? And hence they became more important. They were against this Varna system. Got it? Yes. Then we have our 16 Mahajanapadas. These are the different Mahajanapadas which existed. What is a Mahajanapada? It's a kingdom, small territories which existed in northern India and northern and central India, which had their own empires. Okay, so from this only we will start with our history. Magadhan dynasty empire in the will start. Okay, Magadhan dynasty we call it as. Okay, so to know it does not happen like overnight. We didn't start having Magadhas right on one fine day. No, we had a way of life from which Magadhan became important. So 16 Mahajanapadas were there. Of them, Magadha became significant and influential, and it starts the ruling. Got it? So these are the 16 Mahajanapadas that existed. Of them, important are your Kuru, Panchala, Chedi, Magadha, Briji, Anga, and Gandhara and Kamboja. Gandhara and Kamboja is important because they are our link to Western countries. Got it? So Pakistan and Central Asia, you can call it as your West Asia, you can call it as, because from there only we started having all the invasions. Got it? Yes. Then comes our Magadhan Empire. See, this is our Magadha. Got it? So in Magadha, what is important for us? We have different dynasties in Magadha. Okay, who were ruling? That is, it could be Haryanka dynasty. Okay, Nandas is the last. Okay, Shishunagas, fine. Haryanka, Shishunagas, Nandas, they were all there. No, Shishunagas come a little later. Okay, so these were your Magadhan dynasty. Okay, Magadhan dynasty only Bimbisara is one guy who is a little important. After that comes the great Mauryan Empire. Look at the vastness of the empire. That's why Mauryan Empire is so big for us. Okay, na? So why? Who's the founder? Chandragupta Maurya. Okay, you will see the same Chandragupta in the Gupta dynasty also. He is not the same. The name sounds similar, but they are not same people. Got it? So this Mauryan Empire is founded by Chandragupta Maurya. Okay, na? So look at the extent of Mauryan Empire. They were so big, and one of the most influential kingdom anta helbodu. And also they were the first empire to build up in the Indian subcontinent. Got it? See, these are the two people that you will have to remember. One is Chandragupta Maurya and the other one is Ashoka the Great. This guy is mad. He's insane because, he's done so many things that, he creates a lot of trouble in the exams. Okay? Inscriptions, yes, what are the inscriptions that he is given and where he did what, how many councils he held, where he sent whom, religious. Again, he'll just give up war. Kalinga war admele. Okay, that is another big headache. Yes, but one of the most progressive man that you can ever see. Okay, inspiration for a leader. Okay, and ee tara figures bandaga you pay more attention to the personality of the leader because you can write these in your essays. Essay, ethics answer baribekare, these become your value added things. Okay na? So keep your eyes little open and minds little open. Just don't stick to history alone. Try to develop interconnects between the subjects so that it becomes more interesting and it will be helpful in your exams also. Got it? Yes. Then the last part of your ancient India is your Sangam age. Okay na? So what exactly is Sangam age? It's a classical literary period anta karitivi. All that's related to Tamil literature. Okay, Tamilu in what do you say? Literary parts only, these become very significant for your prelims questions. Okay, so far we have not seen Sangam age questions in KPSC prelims as such, but UPSC Sangam age is favorite. Every year at least you'll have one question on Sangam age. Okay, so here Sangam period and Bekare, we are mostly talking about your South Indian kingdoms. Okay, that is your Cheras, Cholas, Pandyas, and also our people also were there. Who are our people? All these Kadambas, okay, Kadambas, Gangas, Chalukyas, Urala, Idru. Okay, but not very popularly you will see them in the ancient India, but medieval Indian history we will see our guys. Okay, so this is our Sangam age. Okay, Sangam age what you mostly focus on? You focus on the literature part. Correct? Yes. Then coming to our medieval India. Fine. So ancient India, artha aita? Did you understand the timeline from IVC to how we came to our down south Sangam age? Yes. So going to our medieval India. So this is medieval. See, medieval India andre we only focus on one Delhi Sultanate, another one is Mughals. Anta ankoltivi, but it's not true. We have these many beautiful kingdoms that we have to focus on. Correct? So Shatavahanas, Kushanas, Guptas, ella important. Okay, this guy is important because he's our neighbor. Who? Andhra Pradesh. Okay, he's our neighbor. Okay, so we have to know more about him because he had his capital at Penukonda. Penukonda was present day Kolarala include agittu. Penukonda regionally. Okay, so this is important for us. This fellow is important because from him only we are having currencies now. He's the first guy who came up with coinages, gold coins in India. Okay, Kushanas. And this guy is like, again, another insane fellow in medieval India because he gave the structure for temples. Guptas are known for their temple architecture. Okay, they have 5 styles of temple architecture, which is still the most famous style. Okay, this is called as the Nagara style. Okay, Nagara style anta karitivi. So this guy is again very, very important. Fine. Then our South Indian kingdoms, our own people. Okay, all our neighbors, Ajubaju fellows. Okay, so though we didn't like each of them, we still have some great love towards them. Right or not? So North India, anybody who comes from South India is a Madrasi. Right or not? It's like that only for us also. We have that soul connect between our brethren. Right or not? So then this foreign people who came, and then again another foreign invasion who ruled over us. See, what is the difference between these two guys? Both are Muslim who came from outside, but we like these people, we don't like these people. Howda alva? Why? They never touched our society. Okay, they never, except this Aurangzeb, nobody bothered to, touch our, religion part. Okay, religion is very much close to the land of India. Everybody identifies their individuality with religion, mostly. Okay, we are slowly evolving, things are changing, which is not really necessity. Okay, but otherwise, religion is very much intertwined in our society, in our culture part. Howda alva? Religion identifies many of us in many situations, right? So likewise, these people were very cruel. They called us, kafirs. Right? But these people didn't do that. They were like, they didn't have a home to go back. They wanted to settle down here. So they agreed that, okay, let me not exploit them. So let's get inside of their society is what these people believed in. And Aurangzeb, flipped the policy, led to decline. Got it? Yes? So now let's take a quick view about medieval India. See, this is our Shatavahana dynasty. This is again a matriarchal society. Urdu. Satakarni is mother's name. Okay, Gautami Putra Satakarni, Vashishta Putra Pulimai, Vashishta Putra Satakarni, they're all matriarchal. Got it? So some important guys' name I have given here. See, this is our Shatavahana's rule. Isn't it a part of Karnataka? Yes, it is. So Shatavahanas did existed here also. Karnataka history shuru madbekare first thing we talk about is Shatavahanas only, because that is our first historical part. Where we become a part of, like as a land, we become a part of history from Shatavahanas only. Then Kanishka, Kushan Empire. Okay, this is our Kushan. North India exists Agro Empire. This is okay. So this is our Kushan Empire, existed between 30 to 375 AD. In this, one guy very important is Kanishka. Okay, why he is important? For his coinage. Correct? Yes. Then comes our Guptan Empire. Okay, again, like half of Mauryas. Mauryas were almost like 70-80% of India, so Guptans were at least 60% of what Mauryans had. Okay, again, founder is very important, and idralli also again all these Vikramaditys and all come into the picture who are very, very important, which we will see later. And Guptan coinage is very famous. Lion Slayer coins, Lakshmi coins, okay, all those come into picture. See, these are the important guys. One is Chandragupta the first, and then another one is Chandragupta the second. This is not Chandragupta Maurya, who is the founder of Mauryan Empire. We are not talking about that fellow. He is a different one. Okay, so great king of kings, and we call him. Chandragupta the first is called as king of kings. Got it? Yes. And then a lot of features, affiliated with it. That is, trade was very progressive under Guptas. They were very rich people. The entire kingdom was very, very prosperous. Okay, and then Hinduism was their prime religion, and it does not mean that they excluded other religions. Other religions parallelly existed. Jainism and Buddhism coexisted. Then comes our guys. That is our South Indian kingdoms. See, Vengi, Chalukyas. See, Urna, we call them as Chalukyas of Badami or Vatapi. That is Karnataka. Okay, Chalukyas of Vengi are Eastern Chalukyas. And these are called as Western Chalukyas. That is called as Eastern Chalukyas. Chalukyas of Vengi, Chalukyas of Badami. Okay, fine. Then Chalukyas of Kalyana, that again is Western India only. Got it? Then Kadambas, Alupas, Gangas. These are all like typical Karnataka based in, dynasties. So from Kadambas to we go till Hoysalas of Dwarasamudra. Okay, which we will see in the next slide. Fine. Cheras are Malayalam people. Okay, and then Pandyas are Tamil guys. Pallavas also Tamil guys. The Vengi is Telugu people. Got it? Yes. See, this is our Karnataka kingdoms. Look at that. From here we begin. Shatavahana, Kadamba, Badami Gangas of Talakadu, then Badami Chalukyas, Rashtrakutas, then Chalukyas of Kalyana, then Hoysala, then Sevanas, Vijayanagar, Bahamanis, Nayakas, Wadayars, Bijapur, Hyderabad Tippu, Wadayar dynasty, British rule, and we became Mysore state. When did we become Karnataka?
November 1956.
56. When did we become Karnataka? From Mysore to Karnataka? 73. It is. Okay. We have to remember on this day, Alva. It's Kannada Rajyotstava, right? So we became Karnataka on 1st November 1973. Got it? So we became Mysore state in 1947 after independence, but we became Karnataka in 1973 under Devarajaras. Okay. So see, now medieval India, this is our ancient Karnataka history. When you talk exclusively Karnataka history, this is our ancient Karnataka, and this becomes our medieval Karnataka. What is this? Bahamanis and Vijayanagar. These are the two people that we are more worried about. Ivralla akka pakka bandu hogtare in medieval Karnataka history, because this fellow keeps troubling us, and these people also have issues with us. Okay, this Anglo-French wars, Anglo-Maratha wars, Anglo-Mysore wars, they all will be troubling us. These people, these indigenous rulers will keep changing sides. That's when we have issues. Okay, that's about our South Indian kingdoms. This is our Delhi Sultanates. We have 5 dynasties here. Okay, they come to India through second battle of terrain. First one is Chauhan, Prithviraj Chauhan and Muhammad of Ghur. Where is Muhammad of Ghur? Ghurid Empire. Do you see there? That is where they came from, Khwarazm, Ghur. Okay, Muhammad of Ghur. Muhammad Ghori anta yarna karitivala. It is from Ghurid Empire. Hence he is called as Muhammad of Ghor. Okay, so these 2 regions is where they came from. Mostly your Delhi Sultanates. Okay, so first battle of Panipat decides that Babur is going to start his rule here. Okay, 1526 it begins in. From there onwards we'll have, no, that is your Mughal Empire. Okay, with the second battle of terrain only we'll start our Delhi Sultanates. This begins our Mughal Empire. Okay, so Delhi Sultanates firstly begin with Memluk or slave dynasty. Okay, na? So it's called a slave dynasty because it will be started by the slaves of Muhammad of Ghur. Okay, na? Then Khalji dynasty, then Tughlaq dynasty, then Sayyid and Lodi dynasty. So this is 5 dynasties of Delhi Sultanates. Idralli questions bandre mostly it will come from Khalji revolution. Okay, Alauddin Khalji ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಕೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. Otherwise it will be MBT, Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Otherwise we have not seen any big questions coming from this Delhi Sultanates. This is our Mughals. Though their seat of power is very minimum, they held huge influence on the local people because they made friends with lot of indigenous rulers. Okay, see the settlements that they are given here, they had large influence over these settlements. Okay, see Marathas parallelly existed with Mughal. See, if there was one kingdom which could overthrow this Islam rule from India is Marathas, which they lost it. Okay, Peshwas anta heltivalla. So Peshwas were one powerful people, like Marathas were one powerful Indian kingdom which could outthrow the Islams. Okay, or say you can say Delhi Sultanates or Mughals. Okay, but which we lost it. Delhi Sultanates time it was Rajputs. Okay, in Mughal time it is Marathas. Okay, both of them lost it to internal strifes. Okay, these are our Mughal kings. Order illa, but important guys, I have put it like that. Okay, he is another insane fellow, Ashoka Tarane. Okay, another tremendously capable leader. Okay, you cannot see anybody like him. Very, very, efficient, prominent, and dynamic leader that you can ever see. Okay, Akbar the Great. Fine, and then all of them are like, yeah, they're there. They had good things and also bad things. And Aurangzeb is like one fellow who is not mostly liked by us because he is very, very exploitative, right or not? So these are your Mughal kings. With them, what happens? They become weak. His successors become weak, and then what happens? We see British penetration into India. Got it? Yes. So that's when we begin our modern India. It begins with death of Aurangzeb. That last fellow, evil fellow, dies, and then his successors become little weak. All become men of pleasure. Okay, and then what happens? They are not able to run efficient administration, and hence what happens? Europeans get a chance to rule over us. Why Europeans wanted to come here? We were very prosperous. It was land of wealth. Okay, we were people very, prosperous. Our trade links, our resources, men, labor, everything was very, very lucrative. Okay, hence laid the eyes of British, which actually made us suffer for another 200 to 300 years. See here, our later Mughals suffering at the hands of British. What did they do? They when there is a strife between Indian rulers, between 2 rulers, they took the side of one ruler. And obviously British had better power. Yes, they had better weapon system. They had better organized army. So then what happens? They can easily defeat the local power. And then what happened? They tried to remove this defeated power totally. And then they tried to defeat the power that was allied with also. Okay, so slowly they started dividing the Indian kings and eventually they became supreme. This is their settlements. Who are the Europeans that we are talking about? We are talking about these guys. Portuguese, English, French, Dutch, Danish. Okay, these are the European people who came to India and tried to exploit us. But who are the most significant? They succeeded. They all came together. Okay, in fact, Portuguese were the first people. Look at their settlements. Okay, their settlements, country flags jotege. Okay, but who became more successful? English became more successful. One person who was as good as English was French. English and French were equally strong. Okay, but French was French home government iratala. See, whoever comes here are supported by their home government in their country. Okay, so it's like sending expeditions to different countries. So French will not be supported by the home government, and hence French will be washed out of India. Okay, whereas British will be strongly supported by the men and material by British government, and hence they will rule over us. These are the things that we saw as a result of Europeans' existence in India. What? Carnatic wars agate. Carnatic wars is between English and French people themselves. It's a war between two European people. Then Anglo-Maratha wars happens. Okay, then Anglo-Mysore wars happen, and finally led to the distinction of our kings. The solid empire of Marathas were no less. Marathas had such Shivaji administration and order. It was so good. Right, Ashtapradhan system and all we had not seen so far, at least in the near, past. But we saw such efficient administration which could be broken by the British through their cunning mind games. Correct? Yes. And the main reason for that is this. Can anybody guess what this is? Internal strife. Our own people fighting against our own people. Okay, fights between brethrens. Marathas fighting against Mysore's. Mysore fighting against our Chennai. Okay, your fort. What's that fort called? I forgot the name of it. South Indian kingdoms. Okay, Hyderabad. Okay, Hyderabad, plotting against Mysore. Okay, for the, aspiration, materialistic aspirations, they gave up such big things. That is their own motherland. Okay, we almost became slaves to British. Right or not? We almost became slaves to British. So internal strifes was one thing that actually led us to suffer under the heels of British. Okay, so when all this is happening, what happens? We slowly started to reform. Okay, socio-religious reforms agate. From there onwards, what you'll see, we'll start to fight against the British. That is when we developed this called as Indian National Congress. We needed a platform. We needed a single voice to fight against the British exploitation, and that voice is your INC, that is your Indian National Congress. So with this, what happened? We got a platform through which we can talk to. Okay, now if everybody are shouting, it becomes a riot. It becomes a mass mobilization. That's it. But when we have an organizational structure to talk, then it is heard to, is what we believed. Then we start to have our national movement. What exactly is national movement all about? Fight against the exploitation and restore our rights. Okay, give our land to ourselves. We don't need anybody external to take care of our administration here. How did they come? Actually, they were the slaves who came here, right or not? Literally, they were the slaves. They were the ones who came with filthy mindset here, right or not? So I know it sounds very derogatory, but then at this point of time, it sounds derogatory. But imagine at 1800s and 1900s, the kind of exploitation that we underwent. They came as traders. They tricked our kings, they assumed power, and they made our kings to be slaves, and eventually all their generations became slaves to British. What a cruelty it is against humankind. Right or not? So that attitude in itself to become the exploiter is very harsh. Okay, they were not peace-loving people. They were extremely cruel. And if you, when we read through history, you will understand the kind of barbarity that is undertaken by the British. Jallianwala Bagh incident ella odidira papers alli. What cruelty that is. Right or not? How can anybody do that to another humankind? Forget about, which race they belong, which country they belong. Anybody who is a human being, your own species, how can you do that to another humankind? It's barbaric. Okay, so we started to understand that it is not required to be under the heels of the British. We'll start our fight against the British, and then we started off our national movements. In national movements, 4 movements are very important for us. That is our Swadeshi movement, non-cooperation movement, civil disobedience movement, and Quit India movement. 1905, 1919, 1930, and 1942. With that, what happens? With Quit India movement, we are like nothing less than independence. Get out of India. Okay, quit India means indirectly we're telling get out of India, it is our land. We don't need your dominance here anymore. Okay, so finally what happened? We won. Okay, we won. The idea of leaderships tomorrow when you all become civil services officers, no, these are like an inspiration to us. How concrete your ideology should be, how significantly you should focus on staying focused on your ambitions, aims and aspirations. All that is derived through this national movement. Generally, mainly they definitely ask one question from national movement, and the idea to question a national movement is that to inculcate the idea of patriotism in a aspirant. Okay, how much you know about the details. When do you know the details? Only when you're interested in it. Okay, so as an aspirant, it is very important that you pay attention to your national movement. Okay, na? Especially national movement in history. Okay, because it's very important and they're very inspiring also. Okay, so we signed the Indian Independence Act 1947 and we said we are a lot of things. That is this. We are secular, social, we are sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic, republic. We are all this. So that means nobody is above us. There is no power who can rule over India. India is an independent country that nobody can touch. We are independent to take care of our administration, of our decisions, and of our people. And we derive this authority from the people of India. That's what it said. And securing all the rights to people. What happened? This is still our founding principles of our constitution. Okay, now we have this basic structure theory in constitution, right? In papers and all you must have heard. That's nothing but this is something that is basic to our country which we are not allowed to touch. Any day India will remain this. Okay, and we should be really proud to be an Indian. Correct? Yes. Did you understand the timeline? Wasn't it interesting from ancient to medieval, the journey? See, today we've come a hard way till here. Okay, if a woman can stand here and talk like this to you all about what happened, it's a great achievement for India as a nation. Okay, but how much we realize it, how much we cherish it, how much we enjoy it is what it matters. Okay, so keep inspiring, and it's important that you inspire others because once you become officers, you're going to be having a lot of power. With power, a lot of responsibilities come. So along with that, try to make sure that you inculcate the idea of patriotism in everybody. It is really, really important. Okay, do you remember like what Kannada Rajyotsava was in our school days? It used to be a flamboyant, festival for us. Celebration, right? But now it is zeroed down to just a flag hoisting ceremony. No, bring back, revive it. Okay, if we don't respect our culture, who else will? Right? Yes, so it's important that let's not become regionalistic. Okay, so don't stick yourself to this particular land and religion and language alone. We are Indians ultimately, but the diversity is the beauty of India. Right or not? So each sect of the people, each section, each state has their own diversity and their own cultural heritage to carry over, which we will see in the following classes. Did you understand the timeline? So now from tomorrow onwards, we are going to strictly move to syllabus. Okay, so with the syllabus, you will see a lot of references of ancient, medieval, and modern India, where you should not have any confusions. Okay, when I say ancient India, we're talking about somewhere around 1st century AD to or 1 AD to some 1000 AD. Medieval India, 1200 AD to 1500, 600 AD. Modern India, 1600 to 1800 or 1900, 1947 AD. Got it? Yes? All right. All right, guys. Thank you all so much. Hope you all enjoy learning history. So see you all tomorrow.